Welcome everyone to the Co-Creators Convergence Thursday night Creator Convos. I'm Noelle Marshall and I'm here with my beloved Bob Warner.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening.
And we have a very special evening. I'm so excited. And our good friend Kimberly Clark-Sharp has brought Barbara Ireland to our group. And in just a little bit, we're going to have a little bit more introduction of both of our guests. But right now, I'm going to tell you all a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence, and then we'll come back and get started. So thank you all for being here tonight. We're here every Thursday night. So that's a little bit about the Co-Creators Convergence. And we started by, as it said, students of Barbara Marx Hubbard, who's a futurist, a visionary, and we miss her very much, but we always feel her presence here on Thursday nights. So thank you all for joining us. And I'm going to first talk about Kimberly Clark-Sharp, who has been on our calls. This is your third appearance here, Kimberly. You're a real veteran.
Third's the charm. Maybe I'll be okay this time.
I think you've been excellent each time. Particularly the last one was about talking to pets on the other side.
Yeah,
Kimberly,
that was fun.
Yeah, Kimberly is really a trailblazer because her NDE occurred many years ago, and she was able to understand eventually what it was, and then to teach others how to deal with people, to identify and then deal with that in their life, and started a whole new curriculum. And she's in Seattle in the Northwest. And there are we have quite a few from the Northwest here tonight. And she has brought a very good friend of hers, Barbara Ireland, who also has had an NDE. And we're going to learn about the special skills that she came back with. So what I'm going to do is ask everyone to please keep yourself muted and your video off. And whenever Barbara says, she will invite us in at some point for conversation, but we want to let her deliver her message. I understand we're going to have a very delicious meditation, a process coming up, so I'm excited about that. If during the course you have a question or comment, please use the chat and we will be monitoring the chat. And if you happen to have your Facebook open and you want to share this very special evening with anyone else, please do. And we're here every Thursday night. If you would like to get our newsletter, put your email in the chat. So without any further blabbing, I'm going to turn it over to our good friend, Kimberly. So I'm going to stop my video and stop my blabbing. And Kimberly, would you please introduce our guest tonight?
Thank you. And I'm very happy to. So Barbara Ireland and I met when, not recently, Barbara attended a meeting of the Seattle International Association for Near-Death Studies, or Seattle IANDS, IANDS, at yahoo.com if you're interested in more information on the near-death experience itself. Anyway, a lot of people attend, between 55 and our December meetings, 125. But in walks this firecracker one afternoon. And I mean, look at her red hair and the name Ireland. And this is all authentic. It was just amazing. And she shared her near-death experience at one point and just flattened those in attendance. Because what makes Barbara particularly unique is that although near-death experiencers come back with all kinds of gifts and knowledge, hers was very specific. So much so that she wrote a book that I want to give a shout out to and even show like on camera. If I get you looking, light's not going to help. It's called Stop Negative Thoughts, What My Near-Death Experience Taught Me About Mind Loops, Neuroscience, and Happiness. In other words, Barbara came back with a blueprint very specific to stopping the looping of negative thoughts. And particularly in light of pandemic and global crises, right and left, and all this stuff, her information is spot on, useful, and delivered by one of the loveliest people I've ever met. So Barbara Ireland, you're going to razzle dazzle us, I know, but thank you so much for agreeing to present.
Thank you so much, Kim. That was super sweet. And I am so grateful to know you. And I'm very happy to be here and meet you, Noelle and Bob, and everyone here. So thank you so much. And, you know, there was a synchronicity for me about speaking here tonight. Whenever I'm asked to speak somewhere, I'm always curious about the invitation, like why this group, why this timing, why now? And in December, I went on a spiritual retreat with very extensive meditation and a lot of inner work and connection with the divine universe, however you want to call that. And I want to share some of what came through tonight. One of the biggest things that came through was talking. I was getting a lot of downloads, I call them downloads, about the development or the evolution of a new species of human. And, you know, when I came back home to Seattle, and then I was reinvestigating, you know, the co-creators Convergence group and responding finally to Noelle and Bob about it, I was like, OMG, this is a Barbara Marx Hubbard group. That was a big thing of what she talked about. Homo universalis, she called it. I have named it Homo diamondus, which I'll explain why. Whatever you call it, there's something very, very special going on with our species. So I'm super excited to be here tonight because of that, and for many reasons. So what I'd like to start with, and why I'm even here talking to you, is because of my near-death experience. So the story of that is in 2010, I was a singer and I was touring with the guitar player for Pearl Jam, Stone Gossard. We were on tour in Brooklyn and I was on stage. Everything was fine until I happened to tune into this man standing right in front of me in the audience who was hating our music and letting everyone know, or at least anyone in front of him, which was the stage, no, he was just doing one of these, oh, I hate this kind of music thing, because we were not Pearl Jam. So he's standing in front of me, and you know, there's people that don't like your music in an audience. Most people are loving it. But why did my mind decide to focus on this one man? It didn't just focus on this one man. It went down this drain of negative thinking like you wouldn't believe. And that was to a level that was shocking me. I had no idea I had this many negative thoughts going on in my head. Started out about him, quickly moved to the band, and then really fast landed on me. What's wrong with me? I can't sing worth a damn. Why did Stone even hire me to come here? What am I doing on stage? This high note's coming. I'm probably gonna miss it. Just on and on and on and on and on. It was freaking me out. While this is going on, I'm also performing and acting like everything is okay, cueing with the band, remembering lyrics, smiling, and all. So I had these two parts of my brain going on at once. And then a third part of my brain that felt like it was standing behind me, watching this and just commenting on it, going, wow, look what you're doing. You're doing it pretty well. I don't think anyone can tell. Wow, look at this. I was like, my brain's freaking out. So that night, I was laying in bed going, what was that about? Do I have negative thoughts like that going on all the time? And if so, how am I going to get rid of them? Because I've had therapy. That didn't seem to get rid of them, but they're here. And I was thinking about what I was going to do about it. And I came up with a great idea. I had heard of these camps in wilderness areas where you go for a certain amount of time and they throw all sorts of scary things at you and you fight it, you work through your fears, you develop courage. And I thought, that is perfect. That's going to knock these negative thoughts out of me. I'll gain so much confidence. So I found one, I signed up, and it was some time later. I went, I luckily convinced my best friend to go with me. And it was in this really remote area of Vancouver Island. And we were there with tents, we were camping. It was a week. And we had to sign a liability form and a non-disclosure form. So the liability form scared the pants off us because basically anything sounds like could happen. We didn't know what they had planned. They wouldn't tell us. And I'd sign everything away. And then the non-disclosure form doesn't allow me to tell you exactly what happened there, but I can tell you it was hardcore every single day, plus sleep deprivation. We were sleeping about three hours a night for a week. And every day was extraordinary physical, emotional, and mental challenges. I was scared every morning when I got up because I didn't know what they'd have in store for me, but I got through it. And every night I was beating through those negative thoughts. I was feeling pretty confident. I was feeling good about myself. And then the last day happened, the last main challenge day. And this was outdoors in the sun. It was an endurance experience. And I did fine. It was timed, so you had to hurry through this, but it was still a 3-hour thing. And I was doing fine till about halfway. And then I started noticing weird things going on with my senses. Started seeing flashes of light and echoey voices. Everything sounded like this, and then started strobing sounding. And then my legs got really wobbly, and I thought, I must be getting dehydrated. So I drank more and more and more water, and I got worse and worse. And pretty soon I thought I was going to faint. My senses were kind of colliding and intermixing in really strange ways. By now, I just felt like I was in a nightmare movie. Everything looked and sounded and felt so wrong. And I thought I'd faint. I finally did make it through the end of the course, the segment there. And I asked for a medic. I said, I think I'm going to faint. Well, this sweet man appeared who you could tell had so little medical training. I don't know what this organization was doing, so I never named them. But he was terrified when he saw me because I was clearly really ill. As it turned out later, I found out I was suffering from a combination of heat stroke. So I was having stroke symptoms, which is why all my senses were completely going chaotic. But more scary for me even was hyponatremia, which is when you have washed out the way too much salt from your blood and it crashes your blood pressure. So I had both these things going on at once. He did give me electrolytes, which brought up some salt in my body. But all week I'd been sweating like a crazy lady because everything was so physical, and I was drinking all that water to stay hydrated. So I washed it all out. So he said, okay, well, let's take you back to your tent. Well, it was too hot to be in my tent. So I laid under a tree. My best friend found me, and she was terrified when she saw me. My skin was gray, and I was looking real vacant through my eyes. So she sat there with me as I laid down under this tree, and she held my hand. One at a time, each of my limbs shut down. They just went offline. I didn't feel them. I couldn't move them. All I could feel and experience of my body was my torso and my head. And I felt like I was kind of chained down there. And I was screaming, or not like that, but screaming, crying in terror because I knew something horrible was going on. I didn't think I was going to die, but who thinks they're going to die? It's just a strange experience. And we were very far from any hospitals. Anyway, so there I am. while I'm in the midst of this terror, suddenly this movie started playing in front of my, well, it was it was a movie of something that had happened a few weeks earlier at a band rehearsal that I'd had with my brother. And it played in front of me like a pristine movie, not like a memory that's kind of foggy, but a clear movie. And at the same time, I was in the movie. So I was reliving it and refeeling everything. So I had these two perspectives going on at once. And it played out, it wasn't very long. And then the movie freeze framed. And it stopped on this moment where I clearly had something, you know, I kind of scrunched up my face and a voice appeared, not out in the world. And it wasn't my normal inner voice. It was a male, calm voice. And it said, "What were you thinking right then?" And I remembered and I said it. And as soon as I said it, that little movie scrolled off my screen. A new movie began from maybe a month earlier. And that one freeze framed exactly at this moment where I turned down, looked away from something going on. And again, the voice said, "What were you thinking right then?" And I answered. That one scrolled off. This continued for hours, over and over. Nothing from my childhood, which is really interesting, but all throughout my life. Always interactions with different people. And I had a moment, one of those moments that weren't good. And it would ask me what I was thinking, sometimes what I was feeling, but it was often connected with a feeling and a thought that were connected. So as this was going on, I was also feeling this very strange sensation of something coming out of the top of my head as I laid there. And it felt like a puff, like smoke or air puffing out of my head. And I realized as it was going that I was feeling less and less present in my body. I was losing energy, I was losing vibrancy, I was losing life. And this is always a part where I start tearing up because it's so intense when you feel that your life energy is leaving. But so this whole thing continued. After these several hours of this, what I now understand was a life review of sorts. The voice stopped the movies. The voice said, "Okay, Barbara, now you choose. Would you like to stay or go? Would you like to stay in your body and continue through your life, or would you like to go?" Now, this is a really special moment. Again, this is where I tear up. So just bear with me, okay? This is what happens when you've had a near-death experience. You have a lot of emotions and gratitude that come out. So at this moment, I had one foot in this plane of existence and a foot in the other plane of existence. I never 100% left my body like a lot of near-death experiencers did. I had a 50-50 thing going on. And what I felt on that other side, it was like this veil that's so thin, people. It's so thin between these worlds. And I could feel the veil here. And it felt like I could almost see over there, but I could feel over there. And what I felt over there was this tremendous welcoming, non-judgment, love, true unconditional love, just pouring out from that side of existence, that existence. And I'll tell you, I was very, very interested in going that way, because to go there and not experience the hassles and complications and challenges that happen in our plane of existence sounded pretty darn good at that point. But I asked questions with this voice, and I got enough answers that I decided I was going to come back to my life. Here I am. The moment I made that decision, I could feel that puffy thing, the life energy heading back into my head very fast. And one by one, my limbs came back within just a few minutes. And I opened my eyes and I looked around, and the sun had gone down to this gorgeous moment of day, the twilight, and here we go, when things are glowing and orange, and my friend's auburn hair was just this incredible, almost like gold, and this bumblebee, the things that are just kind of normal colors, and a bumblebee. And yeah, sunsets are beautiful, but this looked different than I'd ever seen it. I mean, this was gorgeous. This world is gorgeous, or it can be. And for the next month, that is the level of gratitude I was feeling. Extraordinary gratitude to be here, to be able to talk to the people I love, tell them how much I love them and why I love them. And it was an extraordinary month. Well, slowly, I started hearing worry come back in my head. I started not 100% listening to music anymore. I would listen to music while I do something else. I wouldn't be smelling every single flower on my walks anymore. And the negative thoughts like self-doubt or self-criticism or judgment or comparing, all these things started coming back. And I thought, you have got to be joking. I have gone through a near-death experience and that crazy camp and therapy before any of this, and I still have these thoughts? That is so not fair. But the cool thing about that moment was when I sat down and thought, what's the common denominator of all the questions I was asked, all those movies I was shown during my life review? And that's when I realized everything I had been taught was about my thoughts, and specifically my negative thoughts that all of us have to whatever degree, because we're human. And that's what started me down the road of really investigating what causes negative thoughts. What is the nature of human thinking? What is the source of depression? What causes anxiety? What's this unworthiness piece about that causes us so much trouble throughout our lives? And I looked into neuroscience. I looked into cellular biology and epigenetics and spiritual teachings, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later. And I started working with myself, trying different methods, finding out what are my negative thoughts about, how can I interrupt them? And in my studies, I realized there's a difference between a regular negative thought, which all of us get, and they come in our heads and we deal with them and then they go. And then there's what I call mind loops. These are the ones that go in the head and become like hamsters on a wheel, and they won't freaking leave, And oh man, worry was my kryptonite. I could worry like nobody's business. I perfected worrying because I practiced it so much. And I was always worrying about someone in my life who I loved, thought they were going to die. I thought something was going to go wrong and blah, blah, blah. Well, I was waking myself up with nightmares about this. The person is still alive and doing actually better than this person has in years. All my worrying didn't help this person, but it harmed me. And that's just one version of a mind loop. They can be self-doubt, jealousy, comparing, feeling either self-righteous or less than another. They can be criticism of self or others, judgments, fear, tons of fear, anger, bitterness, disappointment, resentment, frustration, and these things get going and we can't get off the hamster wheel. So The work I was working on, the research I was doing, was how do I interrupt the hamster wheel? Because I realized when that wheel gets going, it causes a downward spiral of thoughts. They spiral and are contagious for other negative thoughts. They bum out everyone else if you start opening your mouth talking about them. Get those people on these their own negative thoughts. They cause emotions that are so painful in our bodies, and it causes behaviors and actions that do not serve us. They can lead to addictions or not taking opportunities or starting fights with people or attracting bad people into one's life or not getting rid of toxic people and all sorts of things. So the idea is interrupt those loops and then turn the whole boat around, because the looping concept works to go down or to go up. And when you start rewriting those neural pathways that are so used to worrying, so used to criticizing, it's so easy to go down those neural pathways. When you start getting off those and starting to create new neural pathways in your brain, and you start going down those all the time that are positive and loving and healthy and grateful, you start feeling so different, so much better. So my life changed so dramatically from altering the way I thought. And it did alter the way I thought. Some of the people I knew from back then say I seem like a different person. I had been on antidepressants for years, but haven't been on them for years now. I was going through a divorce at that time. I have beautiful relationships in all aspects of my life now. My health, my appearance, my career, my money, income, everything shifted tremendously for the better, just by changing the way I thought, by interrupting these mind loops. So that's what my work has been about. As I changed myself, I started sharing this and wrote my book and training other people on how to do it. And this was the first iteration of my work. My book I wrote, How to Stop Negative Thoughts, covers the first 4 steps of what I call the de-looping method. You're undoing the mind loops. So I'm not going to cover those here, because more iterations of what came from that near-death experience about thoughts have emerged and continue to emerge. And a lot of opening things have also happened just last month when I was at that spiritual retreat. It was like this big blast of new life and new wisdom downloads about this work came in. So I would like to discuss the developments that have happened since my mind loops work with you, and how they can benefit you. So as Barbara Marx Hubbard said, we have this new species emerging. And there's this wonderful eminent historian, Thomas Berry, who said, we are now experiencing a moment of significance far beyond what any of us can imagine. The historical mission of our times is to reinvent the human. So Barbara Marx Hubbard spoke about the human Homo universalis, which I love everything she said. And she's so lit up whenever she talks about it. I just love watching her interviews when she discusses it. As I mentioned, I like to call this new species Homo diamondus, because when I think of this new human, I think of a diamond, because it's like a diamond in that this new species has a clarity of the mind and heart, which I don't see Homo sapiens having, and the ability to view life from a multitude of facets, just like a diamond. Perspectives, including the perspective of another human being. So there's less judging, there's more compassion, there's empathy for other people's experiences. I see this new human as having a shift in identity from ego-based, survival-based, competition-based, to one that's grounded in their soul, in their higher power, in cooperation, in love, in oneness. I also experience this new species as someone who has increased awareness of their senses, of energy, and the appreciation rather than the exploitation of the earth and all the beings that are on it that we share we share this earth with. There are also two specific new qualities, or let's say evolved qualities in this new human that I experience and envision, that I want to discuss a lot of tonight with you, because they connect with my work. These are the new iterations of my work, or relatively new anyway. The first one is a higher ability to consciously create using the power of our minds, with our thoughts, with our language. Interrupting those negative mind loops is the first step of that. And it creates a profound change, but it doesn't stop there. Thoughts and words are creative in nature. And I'm guessing most, if not all of you, saw the movie The Matrix. And if you hated the world that was depicted, to me, that is a clear vision of the unconscious negative use of the creative power of the mind, of thoughts, of language. It's a world that's run on unconscious programming. And the blame in the movie for this hell on earth is this nasty group of men, or I don't know if they're artificial intelligence, whatever they are, but they're power hungry and they run everything. When I spoke with my guides about that, I said, is there really that kind of matrix going on? The answer I got, which works for me, is that hell on earth, which we experience to our earthly level, it's not quite as bad as the matrix, but it's the same idea, is the cumulative effect of the unconscious thoughts and the unconscious projections that millions of people through millennia have been thinking and projecting. And we projected this onto the field that is part of our experience of the universe. And this is what we have created. Thoughts, I know that's out there, but it works for me. I don't know if it works for you. You can tell me later. But the point is, thought is creative. Now, the Matrix movie shows that, atomic bomb level destruction that can occur when millions are buying into negative programming, when they are creating from that level. But we don't have to join the millions of people creating from that unconscious negative programming level. We have the choice to step out of that matrix at any time. Doesn't mean we aren't going to experience some of the things out there, but we have the choice to start turning that around. It requires choice and some work, some commitment to start changing that. The beauty is we have choice. We came here, humans are given this ability to choose. So we can choose to create or to destroy using the power of our thoughts. So I'm going to talk more about that in a moment. But the other quality of this new human, of this Homo universalis or diamondus, that I'd like to discuss some tonight, is the conscious and active use of the power of the heart, the power of this incredible, incredible energy center to heal ourselves and others and to connect with others. The heart has an overwhelming power that very few of us use to the level that it is capable of being used. And we all have this power. So this work that this kind of new iteration involves using the heart, working with the heart to start opening it more and healing with it and developing, finessing the expression and use of the heart. So we're going to talk more about that also. So the creative use of thought plus the conscious utilization of the heart are the two new primary iterations that I am teaching and working with these days. Because the new humans, in my opinion, they are not going to be using, and they do not use their thought unconsciously. These Homo universalis and diamondus are not perfecting worry and worst case scenarios and judgments and hatred. They are going to start using it creatively and positively. Because when we delve into this destructive use of the mind and the heart, backed up by a closed down heart, nothing can open and be loving when we're judging or watching news and getting a rush of energy from feeling self-righteous or angry or self-criticism or self-shame or self-doubt. So how I got to this, just to starting to talk more about the conscious and creative use of the mind. There's an aspect of my near-death experience, and when I talk about mind loops, I have talked in the past less about. But when I returned from my near-death experience and I started researching the neuroscience and all that I was telling you about, epigenetics and all that, I also was really deeply studying and contemplating the spiritual teachings that spoke about the creative use of the mind, especially the New Thought movement. And I was reading people like Ernest Holmes and Neville Goddard and Florence Scovel Shinn and Emmett Fox, those people. And that's the same idea that's in the movie The Secret, for instance. And all these people, these great philosophers and spiritualists, and that movie too, talk about creating and manifesting, is the word they use, using the power of the mind for the things we long for. And these were stunning books, stunning ideas. And all of them kept saying, it is so important that you stop your negative thinking. But I could not for the life of me find anyone that gave me step by step how to stop these negative thoughts. And it was driving me nuts. I'm like, okay, I get that it's important, but how do I do that? Please tell me. I couldn't find it. They would give great hints or general things or say visualize or things like that, but not step by step. That's when I was like, hey, I've got to figure this out. So that's what my book is about. Step by step. It's the first 4 steps. There's actually 9 to the de-looping method, which I teach in workshops. So that's a big reason why I developed the de-looping method. I had no idea what level of positive effects and results I'd get from not looping. So, because turning off that spigot of negative thoughts and programming, of course, is going to make a big change in what kind of things come to us. Once I was more or less reprogrammed, had reprogrammed my own brain, I started experimenting with the conscious use, the creative use of my mind. Many gifts started coming in just from not looping, just because I'm eliminating blocks to the gifts the universe was trying to bring me. And I had been, not knowing, unknowingly blocking those gifts from coming in with my negative thoughts. But when you start adding the point of light that is your conscious thought to these things that you are longing for, it takes on incredible power. I had read and heard about this, but I hadn't experienced it to this degree yet. But then as I did this, synchronicity started, doors started opening, nudges to go this way or that started happening, friendships started coming to me, incredibly way higher spiritual connectivity. My guides I discuss started coming and giving me what I call the wisdom downloads. So as I used this and started having these incredible effects, I created a program called Blueprint for Magic. And in that, I lay out a blueprint for how this has worked for me in my life. And it's created a lot of magic in other people's lives. And just to let you know, I'm opening enrollment fairly soon. It's going to be in the spring for a new group to go through that. So if this intrigues you, email me and I'll give you some more information. You can see if it's right for you. And later we'll put my email in. But what I'd like to do tonight is an exercise where you can start consciously creating with your mind. So I would like to offer this. It'll take, I'm guessing, maybe around 10 minutes. And let's see, looks like we still have time. So if you want to grab a pen and a paper, that might be handy. And while that's going on, if there are any questions or comments or anything from what I've said so far, we can do a few of those, and then I have some other good things to do and say. So grab your pen and paper and let me know if there are questions while you're doing that. If nothing happens, we're going to just start diving in. So I'll give you another few seconds. Oh, I see someone's hand up. Flo's hand up. Is that a question? If it is, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi.
Hey.
I really respect all that you've been through and all that you've researched and studied. And I have done my own research and really felt that I was on this path of positivity. And all of a sudden, I'm off the path. And I'm definitely having these mind loops that you're talking about. And for me, who is normally a positive person, I've been having a really difficult time with staying positive and staying on it. And I can really go down that negative path just like on a dime.
Yeah.
And, I just wonder, why does that happen? And, when you're doing so well and things are happening synchronistically and, you're getting the hits and everything is going fine. And all of a sudden I just took a left turn where I should have gone right. I don't know what to do about that.
First of all, I feel for you, and we all take the left turn, at times in our life. I think it's the flow of being a human here. And there's a lot of really hard stuff going on in the world right now. It takes commitment to stay out of the darkness right now. So I get it and I understand. my guess, or if this was me, let's put it this way, if this was me, or when this happens to me as well, I always go back to certain things. One is I start de-looping my own, my own method. I pull it back as soon as I can because it starts changing what I'm putting my focus on immediately. The second thing is I turn off any news. I don't read the news. I don't look at the news. I don't care if I'm like an ostrich with the head in the sand for a little while, because for me anyway, that pulls me into fear and anger. And then the third thing is, or there's two more. One, along with the news, is so much of our looping, if not all of the looping, really centers to me on where we're placing focus, where we're placing our attention. And when we can get a handle on that, start noticing, what am I doing in the day? Who am I seeing? What am I thinking about in the morning when I first wake up? Am I watching the news? Am I hanging out with people that aren't supporting me? Any of these things, that's going to pull us down. And really noticing where one is putting their attention changes so much about their thoughts and then their mood. And then the last comment, and then I'd love to hear your thoughts, but the last comment I have is the next phase of the de-looping method, which I don't cover in my book. I do it in my workshops. I need to write another book, okay? But it's about the emotions. And when we don't, all throughout our life, we have things from the second we pop out of the womb, that are uncomfortable and sad and angering and all sorts of hard emotions. And we don't like to feel these things. And so most of us push them down and get on with the day. And I feel fine, and we don't want to confront, or I'll speak to myself. Was a pattern for me. And those things don't go away. They just get stored in the body. And then they get activated and triggered by other things going on. And whenever one is activated, the whole cycle starts up again. So they need to have their say. They need to move through the body. And that can be done through a lot of different things, through tapping, if you've ever done EFT tapping, or meditation, or the technique I teach called dissolving the emotions in the body. There's a lot of different ways. So those are, and the last thing I do want to say, this is a long answer, but humans are designed to focus on the negative. So it's a lot for survival. So it takes a lot more energy to stay positive than it is to just easily go down the negative route. So what do you think about all that, Flo?
Well, I think it's a lot, yes, but it all sounds doable, and a lot of it I'm already doing. But I'm spending a lot of time alone, and where I'm placing my attention, I'm placing it on my grandkids, and
Yeah.
it's exhausting, so.
Oh gosh, I get it.
So yeah, I am trying, but this is very interesting, and it sounds like I didn't know what was going to be on tonight on this talk, and I wasn't going to come because I've been on Zoom way too much today. But when I saw what this was, I thought, oh, this is what I need exactly right now. So thank you. I appreciate it. And I'll take all the hints I can get.
Okay. Thank you, Flo. And good job focusing on your beautiful grandkids.
Thank you.
Shall I continue with the exercise and we'll come back to Q&A? What do you think, Kim and Noelle and Bob?
That's a great idea.
Okay.
Yeah, and Kim says yes.
Okay. Thumbs up. Here we go, people. Hope you have your pen and paper. So, okay. All of us have heard that phrase, ask and you shall receive. Now, when I was at this spiritual retreat last month, this phrase was repeated over and over and over by the guides, not the ones in the space, but the ones I was connecting with in myself. And I was thinking about that, do I believe that? And ask yourself, do you believe that? Ask and you shall receive. Have you experienced that? What does that even mean, to ask? What does it mean to receive? What does receiving even entail? So I'd like to offer 4 steps tonight to activate the ask and receive phrase in your own life. And the first thing I want to suggest is to come up with 3 things that you want, that you not just want and desire, but that you long for. So I'm going to pause a sec, let you come up with 3, write them down just real brief, and then we're going to look at those in a moment. And if you don't come up with 3, 1 is fine. So with this first thing that you long for, this is the question I want you to ask yourself. Am I 100% sure that I want this thing? And I mean 100%. And dig deep when you ask this of yourself. Look at it from all angles. If you received this thing that you want, would it change? Would you have to change some habits or routines? Would some relationships change? Would some beliefs change? Would you have to let go of some beliefs? Would you have to give up something to receive it? Maybe some of your time or a job or a relationship or other goals or ideas or endeavors that you also want. You may discover as you ask yourself that you're actually not 100% committed. So, and I'm going to give you a couple examples of this in a minute. But the reason I'm asking you this is because these guides who were talking to me, I sound out there, but this is how it is when you have a near-death experience, or maybe even when you don't. But they kept talking about this to me. Are you 100% sure? 100% sure. Because when we conscious create with our minds, they told me, you must fully, absolutely, completely want to receive this thing. Unconscious manifesting is easy. Just look at your life and you'll see what you've unconsciously manifested. There can be no niggling, maybe I kind of want it, no question marks. Now, here are 2 fast examples of what I mean. When I was at this retreat, we were doing meditations for a long time at a time, like a couple hours, 3 hours once. I started getting bit by mosquitoes and they were bugging me. They were taking my focus away from my meditation. I was like hitting myself, and I was like, argh. And this conversation, whatever, with the guides, was going on, and I'm like, okay, look, I want 100%. I want these mosquitoes to go away. And the answer I got was, okay, we can do that, but are you 100% sure? And I thought about it, and I realized, oh my God, there's some part of me that feels closer to nature if I allow the mosquitoes to bite me. How's that? Okay, I rolled my eyes on it, but that's true. I was thinking, I feel closer to Mother Nature. Okay, so I just let them bite me. That's an example of, come on, who wouldn't want the mosquitoes gone? But I found out when I dug down, I found that out. There's another example, much bigger situation. I read about this woman who had cancer, and she was, always telling someone, oh, I hate my cancer. wish it would go away. It's awful. And then she had a really loving, supportive, caring friend who one day wasn't trying to open anything up, but asked her, I'm just curious, is there anything good about having cancer? And this woman was awesome. She really thought about it. And she said, well, I really hated my job before. I don't have to go to that stupid job anymore. And she said, what I love to do more than anything in the world is read books. And I get to read books all day long. And then the last thing she said, I have felt lonely most of my life. Ever since I got cancer, I have visitors all the time, and they're bringing me gifts of food and books. I don't feel lonely. And so she realized if her cancer left, she'd have to find work, maybe work she wouldn't like at all. She couldn't read as much, and she'd have to actually deal with the loneliness she'd felt all her life. So look once more back at this first thing that you think you want and ask yourself, are you 100% committed to wanting this thing? And then I'm going to give you a moment to look at the two other things or however many other things that you came up with that you long for, you think you long for, you may, and ask yourself, am I 100% want this? So I'll give you a moment. And if you still feel a 99.9% sure on those, see if you can come up with something that you do feel 100% about. You can come back to this later. I'm going to keep moving. The second step that I want to cover about this process of creating with your mind is to become a divine receiver. A divine receiver. Many people, and I would say a lot in a more spiritual community, are really good givers. But many people, including me in the past especially, have trouble receiving. So you want to practice the art of receiving with an open heart, without any kind of feeling of, okay, I just received something, now I have to give something back. I have to even this thing out. Simply receive. And there's ways you can practice this in your life. It could be really simple. You're at the grocery store, the bagger puts everything in and says, would you like this carried to your car? And you think, well, I actually can do it myself, but it would be hard. It's a little heavy. So even if you can handle it yourself and you really want it, say yes. If someone smiles at you, let that in, let it in, and respond back with a smile if you feel like it. If someone gives you an expensive birthday gift and you say, oh, you're thinking, oh, I can't accept this. It's expensive. And I gave them for their birthday just a card and like a Starbucks brownie. And look at this thing they gave me. I can't accept it. Let that go. Receive that beautiful gift with joy and love and gratitude. And same with compliments. Don't automatically think, oh, I got to figure out something real quick to say back to that person. Just let it in. Practice receiving again and again, because the universe is ready and willing to give you what you want. But often we have this undeserving piece going on that's pushing these gifts away. Or maybe we've internalized the phrase, it's better to give than receive. And so we feel guilty receiving. So consciously allow yourself to open up for gifts. And if that's not enough to convince you to receive fully, this heartbreaking insight came to me one time from my guide when we were discussing giving and receiving. And it said, if someone says, oh, I can't accept that, that's too expensive, or I can handle the bags myself, or I don't need help, or whatever it is, that when we resist the gift, it's literally creating energetic scar tissue in the heart of the person who's trying to give you this thing. You're harming the person, or we are harming the people that are trying to give us something. So learn to generously and lovingly become a divine receiver. The third thing I want to cover is the last 5 minutes before you go to sleep, when you're lying in bed. Focus on this one thing that you long for, that you're 100% committed to and willing to receive, and imagine it. And not just imagine yourself receiving it, but living it, living with it. It could be a quality you want to develop in yourself, or higher level of fitness, or the healing of an illness, or a really incredible partner or friendship, or a fulfilling vocation, trip, whatever it is. Feel and see this beautiful thing to the point, as much as you can, that your whole body starts tingling with the thought of it. You feel your heart expanding. Maybe your heart beats a little faster. Feel it in your heart. So envision and feel this thing that you long for the last 5 minutes of your nighttime, to whatever degree you can, and then drop into sleep. It's because your subconscious, which is also an aspect of the divine, gets working on it. So do it every night. And if you don't want to waste this precious 5 minutes, last 5 minutes of your day, with the problems that have happened that day, the hassles, the disappointments, fear. And so if you start mulling over these things, the things that didn't go right, guilt, resentments, blah, 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 don't start going to sleep. Either sit up and read, or actually get up and out of bed and do whatever it takes to uplift yourself and bring some more peace back to your mind, and then go back to bed, repeat that envisioning process, and go to sleep. And the last step I want to cover is, I love the phrase, follow the breadcrumbs that start appearing. The universe will send you breadcrumbs about this thing that you long for. And I don't know if any of you, when you were a kid, you played the hot, warm, and cold game, and you're trying to find something and say, oh, you're getting hotter, and you go for it. Oh, you're getting colder, and you kind of backtrack. Where do I go? Well, that's just like how the universe plays this breadcrumb game with you. The universe will start leaving you cues and clues that will lead you to your desire. So your job is to follow them, to notice them and to follow them. The opportunities that arise, grab it, follow up on it. Book recommendations, lyrics from, songs that you wake up with out of a dream, whatever these things are. And so this is how you begin to start co-creating with the universe, to create a new you, to create a new experience in your life, and overall to create a new world, a different one than the Matrix shows us. This is so exciting to me. And so this, my blueprint program goes over way more detail than this, but this will definitely get you started. So would anyone like to share any bit or any questions before we go into the last piece tonight?
I don't see any hands up, so I think we're waiting with anticipation for the last piece tonight.
Okay, good. So, so far tonight, we've talked about stopping the pattern of negative looping and the conscious use of your mind to create or manifest. Now, when you add the power of the heart, this becomes a game changer. The power of your heart is so magnificent and when you start focusing on your heart, breathing in and out of this heart center, expanding, like consciously working to expand your heart and light it up, you can start feeling a different sensation in your body. It will uplift your mood incredibly. And the cool thing about this energy center is you can start directing that energy out to the people that you love in your life, to the earth and all its inhabitants, to yourself, to any area of your body where you have illness or dysfunction going on. And one of the things I've been using it with that I think is really fun is when I'm upset with someone, whether I know them personally or whether there's someone in the world who's doing something I don't think is very nice. Judgment. But anyway, that's appears to be harming other people. I generate this beautiful energy in my heart and I put it towards them. Because not only is it in a personal way, if it's a personal friend, it starts healing the rift between us. And I can start letting go of whatever my feelings are, my resentment is. But it also heals the heart of a person who's acting unconsciously in this world. So I do it without judgment as much as I can towards that person. And I just send them the love. And it starts healing them from the inside out. So we're going to work with your heart. Hopefully you'll join in and do a little meditation with me with your heart. Before we do, I want to bring up one last subject. And that is one that was also repeated again and again to me in this retreat I was at. It kind of surprised me because this is something I thought I was clear on. But apparently this word really needed to get into my noggin. So I am going to share it with you. And the word is choice. Choice, choices. The word was repeated over and over because it was saying we always have choice. Even when we think we are pressed up against something and we don't have a choice, we have a choice. And that choice, I actually kind of played devil's advocate when I was getting this information. I'm like, oh, okay, well, how about if someone's being tortured? What kind of choice do they have? And the guide said they have a choice how they respond inside themselves about it. And so I'm like, okay, that's true, but I don't want to test that one out. But when we feel like we're in a rock and a hard place, and we see these two horrible choices, it said, look for the third option. There is always a third option. Look for that other choice. So I pondered this idea of choice. And I thought, well, we live in a world, but it's just so harsh in many ways. There's so much division right now. There's so much fear and anger. And, the nature's in this critical balance. And I thought, if the divine, if the universe equals the energy of love, why would this world be so darn difficult? And I realized that the gift of choice works two ways. We have the choice to have profound difficulties that are based on the choices that humans have made throughout our maturation process as a species. We may be slow to mature. We may be slow to evolve. We may be slow to choose love over fear, or slow to choose kindness over divisiveness, or to choose generosity over greed. And our brains, like I mentioned with Flo, it was when I was talking with you, Flo, our brains are designed to focus on the negative. And because when we were, early humans, if we didn't notice the negative things like scat on the ground from a bear, or the rattlesnake and look for the rattlesnake in the path, we would not be here to be talking about this. We had to focus on this. So our brains are designed for that. And our egos, sweet egos. I love my ego. It's designed to keep me safe. The unfortunate thing is, these two things that are designed this way, they cause a lot of difficulties. And the fact is, we have free will. So we can turn the ship around, whether in our personal life or as a species, even at this late date. So within your own life, look at how you use choice throughout the day. How do you choose to respond when a slow driver is going 5 miles an hour on the road and you have an appointment and you're late for it? How do you respond with a spouse who doesn't do the thing that they promised they were going to do later that day? How are you choosing to use the last 5 minutes of your waking hours before you go to sleep? So, as you consider your choices, we're going to end with the power of your choice. And we're going to look at the power you have to create. What are you going to create in your life using this innate power that all of us have with our mind and our hearts? And that begins with choosing what we pay attention to, like I mentioned. And also specifically how we choose to use our time, because all of us who are born during this pivotal time in human history, we chose at some level, if you buy into this, I do, we chose to be born during this time. And do you know why? Like co-creators Convergence video at the beginning of this said, we each came with specific gifts that will aid in the transformation of ourselves, of our species, of the world. So do you know what your gifts are? What did you come here specifically to use? What gifts were they? Sometimes they're so easy for us to do, we don't even realize it's a gift. And so we don't actively, consciously use them. So here's where I'd like to put in the heart meditation. And use that beautiful power of your heart to get some clarity about why you chose to be born during this time, what your gifts are, and how to use them in the best way. So if you're willing to join along on this heart meditation, just close your eyes and take a nice breath. And notice as you breathe how easy it is to breathe even deeper than you expected, all the way down to your belly. And as you breathe there, allow the muscles in your forehead to just take a break. The muscles in your eyes and behind your eyes to relax. And scan your body just briefly from the very top of your head all the way to your toes, and make sure all the parts of you are there together, working together for this meditation. Everyone's present, all your organs, your muscles, your body. And now start breathing in and out through your heart, through the center of your body where the heart is. And if this sounds correct to you, repeat in your head, say this to yourself in your head, in your mind: I am in the light. The light is in me. The light and I are combined. And place your focus on your heart. and allow the energy in that beautiful center to start expanding and growing brighter and bigger. And keep breathing in and out of this beautiful, expansive center. And you're going to ask your heart, you're going to ask this center 2 questions and listen to the first answer that comes back. First question is, what are 1 to 3 gifts I personally came here with, I was born with, to use during this pivotal time in human history? What are my 1 to 3 specific gifts I came to use during this pivotal time in human history? And the second question, what is at least one specific way I can use 1 or more of my gifts to help heal humans and move us into the next phase of our development? At least one specific way I can use my gift or gifts to heal humans and move us to the next phase of our development. And keep focusing on your heart. Allow that energy to grow and expand even more. And then direct and send that loving energy into the world, whether it's to your loved ones, your community, the earth, animals, wherever you choose to send that beautiful healing energy. And thank your heart. Write down your answers, and I will take questions. And if you want to share what your heart said, I'm all ears.
I'll let people unmute themselves. Welcome everyone to unmute yourself and turn on your videos and join in and reflect. Questions, comments? Kim, you have something to?
I am as high as a kite. I'm like, I think I'm still in my heart.
Yay!
But my heart is, if I don't have a chance to say this again, my heart is full of gratitude for you, Barbara, for your generosity of information, for your focus and clarity, your compassion, your kindness, and your inside and outside beauty. You have so much to offer. It's just, thank you.
I'm letting it in. I'm letting the tears come. Thank you
Yes,
so
now
much.
you can receive.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh, and I'm feeling it. Thank you so, so much.
Mhm.
Pamela, would you like to join?
Yes. Oh, Barbara, that was beautiful. Thank you. And I wrote beautiful, eloquent, and powerful, and you are all those things. And all I could think of as I was allowing that heart energy to flow was that all we have to do is to show up every moment as the love that we are. And it doesn't matter who we're with or what we do or where we are or what our job is. it's show up as the love that we are. And that just makes a difference. We're the hands, the heart, and the voice of God.
So beautifully articulated. Such a wisdom download from Pamela. Thank you. Truly. It makes it sound so simple. Why do we make it so hard?
I'm not sure, but we do.
Beautiful.
I just want to read in a few of the, Shane said, Barbara, thank you so much for writing your book. I've started rereading it this year as a refresher. It's a great gift.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
and I also put in the chat, try to take some notes and also how to contact you, your website, your book, also Kimberly's, which is also outstanding.
Oh,
And
thank you.
yes, and also from Susan F. Fantastic course. I highly recommend. I've done it and it's wonderful. So why am I not surprised? I just feel, yes, I think that's a great way, Kim. I'm right up there. Tears just like formed in my eyes. It wasn't like I was crying, but it just felt like so emotional. My heart felt like it was beating a little, pounding in a little bit, it was just really beautiful. And I thank you both. We have, I think, some more messages here. Someone's very interested in the workshop, Kathy. And so do you want to go a little bit more about what's going to be happening in the spring, I believe it is? Barb is also interested in that. Flo is also Barb. So.
Oh, awesome. Oh, awesome. It's a beautiful program. Let me give you my email so I can send you information. And that's barbara@themindloopgroup.com. And I can put it in the chat too. Let me just type that.
Loops is a plural.
No, singular.
Okay.
At themindloopgroup.com.
Awesome.
And you can also find it on my website, which is how to stop negative thoughts. But this
Viola, do you want to jump in here?
Oh my gosh, blow me away. She started talking about Thomas Berry. And I've been doing a lot of work with Thomas Berry because one of my gifts is to share, because I love the earth and I have this program for teachers and I cannot any longer go out and teach because I'm not capable. I mean, I'm 80 years old and tired, but these young teachers, they need to pass the word of loving the earth and taking care of the earth and so forth. So Thomas Berry is one of my guides. Okay. So you mentioned that it just about everything you said, it just can't, oh my God, this is what I've been thinking about all day. This is what I've been, and this heart thing, the head and the heart. And I'm into neuroscience too, and I've been studying Ian McGilchrist, who has a beautiful book on anyway, I'm speechless. I'm not very good at communicating when I get excited. So I think I said something in the chat that maybe makes more sense.
Oh, I think you communicated beautifully, and I thank you, and I love all the synchronicities, Yola.
Yeah.
With the beautiful name. Right on. And that's so cool that were you a teacher?
I've been a teacher for, I retired just about 3 years ago.
Oh, wow.
I was teaching, I was teaching English at the university and English and Spanish, and doing workshops for teachers on creativity and doing workshops on critical thinking and so on. So yeah, I've been teaching forever.
Well, thank you for that beautiful service and gift that you have done forever, as you put it. Nice work.
She has many gifts and she's very generous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can tell.
I see Flo has her hand up. Flo, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that going along with the synchronicities, I belong to the Global Heart Team, and every Thursday at 3 Central Time, there's a Zoom call with a meditation, and we get a little heads up beforehand what we're meditating on or what we're thinking about. And today it was expanding the love in your personal heart. So, and it's always something to do with the heart. So this was, yeah, it's a beautiful thing. And the meditations are beautiful. And we put everybody in the field who needs to be in the field that week. And we send out all the love from our personal hearts. And it's just another synchronicity for you.
And what a beautiful routine, habit, practice you people are doing. Boy, I mean, I am so loving that that's not just a one-off, but it's something you all are doing, your group is doing every week. It's beautiful. So thank you, Flo, and your group.
And we have another group that's present here, or some of us. We have a meditation group with Jennifer Ivanko every morning at 7:30 a.m. I see Linda's there, and Flo, myself, Bob, and it's a wonderful, you know, I credit it as one of the things that really got us through COVID. Because, you know, that isolation, and, you know, we're used to, you know, Bob and I traveled for 10 years in our RV. We're used to like being with our people, you know. So, you know, to be able to have that was a real anchor for us, you know, that all these blueprints, I'd love it.
Kimberly, do you have anything that you want to wrap up with the evening? And then we'll ask Linda the same.
And Linda wanted to jump in.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Linda, go ahead.
Okay, I'll unmute myself. I think it's a beautifully simple message, Barbara, what you're saying. And I think that the simplicity of opening the heart is the truest message that I hear. And I think that's been a message that I think during COVID has come out more in terms of what is really important. And I think you're sharing your story is a significant way of communicating how potent opening our hearts to what are our gifts and to allowing ourselves to express those authentically, genuinely, and just coming from the heart. So I think that's the biggest gift that I think we all have to give each other, is just to open our hearts. So I thank you for your beautifully simple message of doing that for ourselves and each other. And I think what Noelle was saying about this group that we participate in every morning has been that kind of a support of opening our hearts to each other. So I just want to acknowledge that, just acknowledging that.
Jennifer's meditation group there too. Oh, I was going to say some homework
Thank
I'm
you,
taking.
Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Now I love seeing you every morning in your pajamas. Now, one thing
And
that
us.
I would say that I'm going to have to do some more digging is that, you know, when you say, what do you want, you know, what do you long for, and am 100% committed to? Now that's where the ego gets really active. And, you know, are you really that committed? Well, then would you be doing this if you were that committed? Would you be doing that? Or, you know, you really don't have to do that. And that's where I'm going to have to do more digging, because I think that's where a lot of the blocks are that we've got to unearth till we have the, you know, the blossoming more of our heart. I would
Yes.
say.
I would totally agree. And both what you said and what Linda was saying, I think it really comes down to the heart. Really, really, really comes down to the heart. And and choices. And can we allow our heart to guide our choices? It's so easy to let the mind take over and do all that ruminating and trying to figure it out. But the heart always knows. At least in my experience, whenever I ask my heart a question, it's so simple. It's so simple. and
Oh.
and mine just gets going wild. You know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, Kimberly, I
Can
want
I
to
add
thank you.
something
Go
to
ahead.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would like to wrap up my end of it
Yeah.
with gratitude to Barbara, again, for giving of your time and wisdom and eloquence and presence. I hope when pandemic is over, people can spend actual physical time with Barbara, because there's an energy that comes from her that is much more pronounced in person and where hugs are involved than on the screen, which is my second point of gratitude, the screen. Although pandemic is separating so many of us, what has emerged is Zoom, and that we can get together across the miles
Mhm.
internationally, that the technology is here to allow us to still be a community, to still connect.
Mhm.
Though I miss the hugs, I'm so grateful for the technology of being able to look at people. I love this. And my last point of gratitude is, of course, to Noelle and Bob and all of your incredible amount of time that you do to bring peace and love and joy and awareness and kindness and thoughtfulness. As a near-death experiencer, I know that we have life reviews ahead of us. Your life reviews are going to be astonishing because you don't know how many people you have really affected. You know, the whole ripple effect thing. But I mean, you're good for go. So, and then thank you for including me.
I love you, Kimberly.
I
Thank
love
you.
Divinely received. Thank you.
Yes, I was working on, I said, receive, breathe, receive, breathe.
Right on.
Well, thank you everyone for being here tonight. And we've taken a lot of extra time here and I'm so, so grateful. Thank you all. And we will have a recording of this, so look for it soon on the Co-Creators Convergence page.